got my bands up. Yes, yes. White sand in my sandals. Yeah, yeah. Ball hard, I got handles. Gang, no bandanas. My bitch bagging on manners. Whoa. Styled out in Versace. Yeah.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the first, the first Nights at the Roundtable for NyynewsTV, and also the first Nights at the Roundtable of 2022. But it's exciting because this is the first one for NyynewsTV, and NyynewsTV has got off to a really terrific start. Unfortunately, guys, we don't have baseball, but we're trying here. So let me just do a quick run around here. We got Joe in here. Joe, what's going on?
What's up, chat?
We got Alex in here from Twin Bill.
Going on, everyone?
We got Luca in here from Twin Bill.
What's going on?
Who's the Playboy guy? What was his name again?
Hugh Hefner.
You got the Hugh Hefner going on today.
I said he looks like a monk.
And then we got RB right down here.
What up, family? What up?
So RB and Joe, you guys are OGs of Nights at the Roundtable. So you are crowned. We should, since it's called Nights at the Roundtable, I got like that little night thing to it. We should call you guys Sir RB, Sir Joe. Well, fellas, of course you guys know there's not too much baseball going on, but the good thing is that we have a little bit of news, maybe a little bit of traction going on. So let's jump right into that. Everybody, by the way, too, please go follow these guys as you see on the screen right now. We got all the handles for everybody that's in here. So please go ahead and follow these guys on Twitter. We'd greatly appreciate it. And two, right before I jump in here, Alex, if you don't mind, where can they find your guys' channel on YouTube?
Yeah, just type in Big Blue in the Bronx in the search bar. It should come up automatically. Some videos, some recently uploaded videos and stuff like that. So make sure to hit that like, comment, and comment on any video, but subscribe button most importantly.
Definitely. And the reason I want to share that too, and that will start, you guys will also see that in the description of Twin Bill here the next time we run through everything. But these guys are very, very good when it comes to football too. So if you're a football fan, don't miss it. Is that all you guys cover over there too? Is just football or football, baseball?
Well, we do a weekly show with a friend of mine on Tuesdays where we really discuss football, baseball, basketball, and we get into fun stuff as well because some of the topics are just not much news right now. Obviously, baseball is one of them, so we go into some fun stuff as well.
Cool. So you guys, please go follow them, and again, follow everybody in the handles that we just put out there. I'll keep showing that screen throughout the Nights at the Roundtable here. But welcome everybody, and I wanted to send a quick shout out to Hunter Larson, who dropped a super chat or a sticker before we even started. So Hunter, I know you dropped that a little early, but we got it, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much. But guys, let's jump right into it. The MLB Players Association and Tony Clark are preparing their counteroffer for Major League Baseball come Monday. If there's any fans in this room of My Cousin Vinny, you'll know the reference of counteroffer. Is that a counteroffer? So yes, they got the counteroffer coming in. I don't know what this leads to. Alex, I'll send it over to you to give your thoughts, and then we'll just go around to Luca, Arby, and Joe, and end back with me. So Alex, take us through your thoughts on that. What do you think with MLB doing a counteroffer here?
I think this would be interesting. Obviously, on Twin Bill, we covered a lot of the subjects that were being proposed by the MLB. That a lot of the stuff that the MLBPA didn't like, some of the stuff they agreed upon, some of the stuff they really didn't. And obviously, right now, we know that they're not agreeing upon much. To put it lightly, and the stuff I've read and from people I heard from, and I was talking to a friend of mine whose dad was talking about the strike of 94, and he said this is worse than 94.
Wow.
And they didn't have a season. And they weren't this divided, apparently, which that's not a good thing it's not a good thing for things to come. But with that being said, I don't think spring training starting on time. I don't know that we will actually have a spring training. I'm predicting middle of March they get something done, because I think for the season to start on time, March 1st has to be the deadline for an agreement. So we'll see what happens. I think March 15th to the middle of March, they make an agreement. They finally compromise a couple of things, and then it's delayed start to the season, but there's not going to be any spring training. When it starts affecting regular season games and not just spring training games, then they're going to get stuff going.
Yeah. Luca, what do you think?
So far, really, obviously we saw the report, but I'm not actually quite hopeful about to see what comes of this. It's good. Yeah, it's good that they're meeting. Was this the second time in the last 2 or 3 weeks? But I'm still not hopeful for what's coming right now. I mean, I agree with Alex. I think we'll see a delay in spring training, but so far not hopeful about what's to come. I still think both sides are divided, and there's no middle ground right now.
Yeah, Arby?
Yeah, piggyback what Luca and Alex said. I also agree. I feel like spring training is not going to start on time, and it's a good sign that they're going to do a counteroffer on Monday. But I'm not hopeful with what they're going to present. And like I said last time, if this meeting on Monday lasts within minutes, forget about it. This now I'm leaning toward like we might miss some games through the season. But for now, I'm not getting there yet. But like what Lucas said, I'm not hopeful with what Monday is gonna with the meeting. But let's see what happens though.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
Yep, you never know. Joe?
I mean, looking at like everything on Twitter and everything, and like just seeing the reports that we've seen so far, I mean, I think it's too divided to even, get a foot in the door to see when we could get baseball again. So I don't know. My predictions is, I mean, I think we don't get spring training. I don't really see how we're gonna have a spring training if we're gonna start on time. And yeah I mean, it's just too divided between the players and the owners, and they have no middle ground. You can't go off anything right now.
Yeah, and for me overall, I mean, I'm a little biased here because we put so much work into NyynewsTV, and it's like, oh, strike time is going to last forever. And it's like, damn, we got no content. But we're going to work our ways through it. I'll tell you guys that much because, we want to provide content for the fans. And then when everything gets back, it's going to be wild. I mean, that's the one good thing about this whole situation is that when there's an announcement made and conversation could start up again, it's going to be wild because it's not like you have all these free agents still available. But I think there's going to be loads of trades. And I know there's the idea out there that guys aren't talking. They're talking. We know that. They're still talking. They're still doing a form of communication, whatever that may be, however that might look. They're definitely talking. And who knows what trades were on the table before this thing went down that have to be put on hold that may have been close. So there's a lot of stuff there. But I guess the thing that I wonder the most about is what is the dial, so to say, or what's the small piece that if they could agree to it, it'll really get the ball rolling? Is it the luxury tax, or is it the pay for guys coming up? That's what I'm trying to figure out. What is the thing that's gonna maybe be the glue to all this to put it together?
I think it would definitely start with like the minor leaguers and the pay. I don't think the luxury tax. I don't think the luxury tax has much to do. I mean, it does have to do with the players, but I think what they're looking for is to benefit more of like the players coming up and actually like give them a shot at a better opportunity with like the housing and everything and like the stress.
Well, they got that already. The housing they got, so that's already done. That's already been solved. I guess too, like what you're to piggyback on what you're saying is their salary, and when they do come up. For me, one of the things I think that really needs to be changed is a guy like Aaron Judge should get paid for having an MVP season in his rookie year.
I agree.
That to me is something I think that maybe needs it. And then again, like somebody like Chris Perez just said in the comment section, service time perhaps. I think service time is also an issue for them. Alex, any thoughts?
I personally don't think that the glue to all this, in my opinion, because it's at the MLB owners, and I personally think based off of the whole ripping off the minor league stuff, especially with the Yankee situation with the Staten Island Yankees. And I mentioned it on Twin Bill that even though they had absolutely no responsibility. I shouldn't really say that, but they did nothing to kind of fix the situation in Staten Island. Randy Levine is still taking a stake in the Staten Island Ferry Hawks, which is really weird. But my point is, I don't think that's really going to be where they try to fix things. I think it's definitely going to be in service time, and I think it's possibly an expanded playoffs. Maybe that is a bargaining chip, but I definitely think it's service time and free agency. That's where the most arguments come from.
Yeah, I agree with that, definitely. Luca, any thought?
I gotta side with Alex on this one. I think it's gonna start with the service time, but also we've obviously mentioned the accolades when it comes to, getting incentives for all-star games, rookie of the year, all these different awards. That just helps reward the young players, and that's where I think where it can start. And also, I think I read something on Tuesday or Monday that said the Players Association is proposing a 23% increase in the minimum salary, which would bring it to $700,000. So that's where I think it will start.
Which makes sense. I was watching, and this is just a heads up for everybody. Tomorrow at 8 a.m., NYYST has their podcast dropping, and they actually discuss this. They discuss revenue sharing, which apparently is a part of the conversation. Did you guys know what the average salary is that minor leaguers make? Anybody have any idea?
20,000.
Yeah, that's the number.
Sometimes it's less. Some of these guys are making could make more money in McDonald's as a startup job. And here's my opinion on that. And while I was watching the podcast and I was producing it, I thought about that and I said, "Holy shit!" I'm like, at the end of the day, you could say what you want and figure out how the owners can make this work, but that to me, that's just unacceptable. It's completely unacceptable. These guys are professionals. So it doesn't matter if you're a professional plumber. You're getting paid more than a plumber just starting. It's just obvious. It's fair. You're not bringing home nothing compared to the rest of your peers. I mean, you got to make a decent salary. If you're a master electrician, you're making more money. If you're a professional ball player, you're above all the levels. You are now turned pro. There should be a minimum salary that you have to make once you start. The idea that some of these guys are bringing home $7 to $14,000 a year,
my God,
it's insane.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, think about it, Arby. I'm sorry to cut you off. You could jump in right after this, but some of these guys are living 5 to 6 guys in one room just to survive. It's crazy.
Yeah, like I was saying, like in the podcast with the fellas, SGR agree with him. He was like, these players make $8,000 to $14,000 a year, which is basically you can't live like that. It's unlivable. And then Christian brings a point where he's like, do you see Anthony Volpe making that kind of money or getting treated like that? He's like, no, because Volpe is at another level.
He's the upper echelon of the system.
Exactly. So he's like saying like basically like the third string catcher of single A is making that kind of money because he's probably one, never gonna reach the major leagues probably, or two, he's probably not really good at baseball. So who knows? That's the reason why these certain players are making that kind of money. But then again, I agree with you. Like I feel like that should be increased no matter what. Whether you're never gonna reach the big leagues, you're not good at the sport, but you should still make a serviceable living because that's ridiculous. $8,000 a year.
It's insane, man. Like, can you imagine that? Like, if you're working at a job, you'd be going nuts. You'd be like, I got to find another job, right? And I mean, you also don't want a professional ball player to be like, well, I guess I can't do this no more because how can I live like this? It's crazy. I'm not moving up. I'm not advancing. How do I live this way? So that was fairly shocking for me to actually hear that. And you guys will hear that whole thing tomorrow at 8 a.m. In the morning. Terrific podcast by those guys. And they talk a lot about this situation. And then also like revenue sharing and how much do players get in revenue sharing and things like that. So it's very, very complicated. A lot of people tend to say, I hear this a lot, why don't they just meet every single day and work it out? It's not that easy. If it was that, negotiations don't go that way, and negotiations of anything in life don't go that way. Hell, to get these two guys to join us, I had to talk to them about 4 times. We had our own negotiation to talk to these guys about 4 times to get them on. So, negotiations on negotiations, it's not going to be a quick thing. Alex, I kind of agree with you a little bit, man. Maybe it does go to March. Maybe it does. I hope not, but maybe it will.
It's just sad that this is like a repeat of 2020. Like haven't you guys learned through 2020 how crappy of a year that was? A 60-game season. Like, don't you like you guys want to go through that stage again and miss games because of come on.
No, and then we, that season again was, mainly due to the pandemic, and this is almost like, all right, well, this is just our own doing here. Like, you guys are allowing this to happen. And I think Alex and Luca, I think you guys said this Luca, I think you actually said it on the podcast where you were just like, it's a horrible look for baseball.
It is a horrible look for baseball. Yeah, and some of my thoughts I'm going to add to it, like, when this starts affecting games, I hope we're not at the stage where we were in 2020, where now the players and the owners are going to argue how much of their salary they're supposed to earn. Because remember, in 2020, they were like, players were like, let's earn 100% of our salary. And owners like, no, you're going to only earn a certain part of your salary. Yep. So, again, it's just a bad look for baseball. And one thing that I think goes under the radar is, like, it's not the owners and the players just losing money. People live off of selling tickets. People live off of selling food at the stadiums. So put that into put that into account.
No, that's spot on. I mean, there's employees at a stadium. There's all that. There's a lot to think about here. And at the end of the day, too, the one thing you also got to remember is, I guess the reason why a lot of people feel like, okay, well, now pressure is going to start building, because the reason you say that is with spring training right around the corner, the owners will start to lose money. At the end of the day, they make money off spring training. That's a big event for a lot of people. Travel to spring training just to go there. I mean, we had plans of doing that ourselves this year, that we were going to go up to spring training. But, I wanted to have my final showdown with Aaron Boone person to person eventually. No, that's a very good point. Joe, where the hell do you see this thing headed, man? Do you think it's before March or after?
I think it's like right around that, like March 1st. Like
that wouldn't be bad. That wouldn't be bad.
But we're missing the most important thing, which is catchers and pitchers heading to spring training. Those are the guys you want. Those are the guys that obviously need to get ready. Like it's going to be a mess. I think it's just going to be a big mess once it hits March.
And I know a lot of players already feel like spring training is too long. So maybe it won't necessarily affect a lot of the guys, but I want a full spring training, man. I just want to feel like we have a full season. Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And again, all of us here could be selfish because we're content creators, and it helps when we got something to talk about. Whether it's like somebody asked me, but somebody was like, Pete, even if they come to agreement, there's not a lot of free agents. I'm like, yeah, but there's rumors, there's conversation, there's talks again. That's more interesting than talking about it right now. So we'll see. Let's do this real quick. Let's just go around the room to sum up this topic. Let's do a over or under March 12th. Before March 12th or after March 12th? I'm going to start and I'm going to say before. I think they're going to recognize the issue, how bad it's going to look, and I think somebody's going to say, okay, we got to figure this thing out. Alex, what do you think?
I'm going to be scummy and say this. I'm going to say after, but it's going to be like 3 days after, where we're just going to be like, cool. God damn it, it was only how many days. But yeah, right. I'm going to say like March 14th or something.
All right, so we got a before, we got an after. Luca, what do you think?
I'm going to go a little optimistic. I'm going to say before, but one thing I
knew he had to disagree with Alex. I knew he had to.
Yes. One thing that I want to add, if they get this done before that deadline of March 1st, can we not half-fast the ramp-up period for players? Look what happened in 2020. Corey Kluber. Look at all these pitchers getting injured. Corey Kluber, Justin Verlander hurting their arms. Like, if we're gonna, if this thing is gonna come together around March, I wouldn't mind delaying the season if it meant for the players getting a proper ramp-up period, proper spring training where everything can be held into account.
Makes sense. I agree. Arby?
Before.
Before, nice. Arby with just a mic drop before, that's it. Joe, what do you got?
I go before because I mainly see it as like an owner's problem. I think the players, obviously, they want to get this done. I think it's the owners are being stubborn, and eventually they're going to see that like they're going to lose money too. Just because they're billionaires doesn't mean anything. They're gonna want to eat too. So I think they're gonna ramp up after this next interview between the players and the owners. And I think once that happens, it obviously won't get solved, but I think more of these interviews between them will keep on ramping up.
Yeah, the big thing for me is I think once you start hearing that they came to not necessarily an overall agreement, but they have some things knocked out the way. I think when you got some building blocks, that's when you'll start seeing it come together pretty quickly. But as of now, I mean, who knows? So we're being a little optimistic here. Alex says after, but shortly after, so I think that'll be fine. Hirsch in the comments section says, I think it gets done soon after the Super Bowl. So that is, when is the Super Bowl? Second week of February?
Second week of February, yeah.
Second week of February. So that would be unbelievable. I mean, if that happens.
Yeah, that would be.
Let me say this. If that happens, this next meeting on Monday has to go terrific because they'll have to be the ball rolling pretty quickly before that. But we do have a little bit of baseball news. Scott Boras is now representing Carlos Correa. I was going to say Alex Correa. I don't know why I got his name mixed up. Carlos Correa is now being represented by Scott Boras. I've seen many people on Twitter all of a sudden be like, oh, that means he's a Yankee. I'm like, that kind of makes me feel like he actually won't be a Yankee, but I'll get your guys' opinion on it in this comment section. Let us know briefly here real quickly. Do you think Boras being the agent now for Carlos Correa makes it more likely he'd be a Yankee or less likely he'd be a Yankee? I'm going to start with you, Alex. What are your thoughts on that?
I want to say less likely, honestly, because we all know how Hal is. And if I'm not mistaken, and I don't know too much about players and their agents and stuff like that, wasn't Bryce Harper's agent in 2019 Scott Boras, where he held out until literally almost a few days before spring training? Exactly.
Correct.
So even with this, lockout happening and all this other stuff, I think someone weirdly enough put this as the top destination for Correa after Boras's joining of the Correa team and stuff like that, which honestly doesn't make much sense to me. The guy said the Angels, and I'm not necessarily, I'm half and half on that, but I think it's going to be less likely that he actually comes to Yankees.
And like you said too, that's because that's a Hal Steinbrenner thing. Yeah, that's I feel very much the same. But Luke, I'll go to you.
I say less likely as well, and I'm going to say that Boras and Correa are going to team up, and they're going to hold out until they get a price they like.
Yeah, that's what Boras does very well. RB?
I'm gonna go the opposite way since the brothers want to be all negative. I'm gonna go more like.
You're gonna say likely.
So likely.
Okay, so now you got to defend your position though. Why is that?
Listen, Scott Boras knows how Cashman and how it works. Previously with Garrett Cole, okay? It's just to me like it's a perfect fit. And then with the teams that are remaining that needs a shortstop, like the Cubs, the Astros, Yankees, I'll throw some dark horses, Phillies, Angels. Like, I don't see them throwing that kind of money on, like, the Yankees. The Yankees can all talk, we're not going to throw 350, 330 to Correa, but the next thing you know, last second, they just swoop in and throw their offer. It just makes too much sense for the Yankees. First of all, like, I think it was UP or Francis that mentioned when Hal last year publicly threw the players under the bus of how the performance were. You can't, as an owner of the team, publicly throw your players on the bus and then Cashman saying our number one priority is shortstop, and then go in the offseason with a stopgap or call up a prospect. Like, that's like a slap in the face to the fan base. So I feel like Carlos Correa is the answer. The perfect is just a perfect marriage bound to happen. Carlos Correa said it so many times that he wants to play in the big market.
Yep.
So, and then now we know that with the reports about Carlos Correa was seeking minimum 330, max 350. And that's exactly what I was saying as my guess was you offer Correa 330, you get a deal done. Which by me, for me, offer him the 330 and just keep it moving. But it's like what Alex said. At the end of the day, Scarborough is going to drag this as long as possible until he gets that number.
Fair. Joe, what do you think?
I'm gonna go against all three of them. I mean, it's going off of what they're saying, but I'm gonna say it doesn't matter at all. He hired Boras. I think if the Yankees are gonna get him, they're gonna get him, no matter who the agent is. If anything, it makes this even easier since they dealt with him with Cole. I mean, you look at it. He had Cole, and the Yankees gave him 330, and we kind of know a number he does want if those rumors are true, and I don't think those numbers are even like that bad at all. So I mean, if they're gonna sign him, they're gonna sign him no matter who.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, if that's part of their plan, that he's still available, so they go that route. But let me get this super chat in from Ruben. Ruben, man, I greatly appreciate that. The minor leaguers are criminally underpaid. The only ones who have it a little easier are the top international prospects and first 2 rounds in the draft that get signed for multiple millions in their bonus. That is very, very true. That's a very good point. And that's what some of us were saying. The guys like Arby said it, the guys that maybe are third string catcher, organizational type guys that are just there to fill holes, they don't get much at all. But just jumping back to Carlos Correa, I'll give my opinion of it. I think it makes it. I think Joe. I kind of like Joe's answer. I don't know if it really matters in this case for the Yankees. Let me explain why. They're a very easy new way of looking at the Yankees is follow the media's narrative, because it seems to go along with the team's plans. And the narrative right now is what? Volpe and Peraza are very, very close. And Volpe could even be ready this year. I've heard that here recently. That if he gets off to a hot start in Double-A, don't be shocked to see him make the step immediately to the major leagues. So, the way I see it is, yes, everybody knows where I stand on Correa. I think Correa should be the main target. I think he should be the guy they get. I'm going to still stick to my guns of what I've been told by multiple people that I know for a fact know their shit. And that is not that. It is that Hal Steinbrenner is not going to pay $300+ million for anybody. So does that mean that he goes out there and gets Story? Maybe. Does it mean he gets the guy I really want them to get? Luka, we agree on this one. Freddie Freeman. I think Freddie Freeman would be so damn awesome for this club. I think he's a perfect get. Because I think there's a lot there to him that this team needs. I think there's leadership, which is huge. I think Correa provides that also. I think he's also one of those guys that is a lot like a Rizzo, where just being around, you're not going to see as much of that garbage play on the field. You're not going to see the garbage with Gleyber Torres. And Torres is a very interesting guy that I want to lead into that next. With the way the current Yankees infield is aligned and what we know as of right now, we know shortstop's open, but shortstop is open and first base is open. But second and third is kind of rumored to be Gio and Gleyber. The Yankees are going to get a shortstop. I think we all believe that. Whether it's the high guys or it's a Simmons type, they're going to get a shortstop. My question is, what the hell do you do with DJ LeMahieu? Do the Yankees get Correa and go, okay, well, LeMahieu's our first baseman?
No.
Arby,
Cashman publicly said in the past that he didn't sign DJ to be in every.
But that's my thing with Cashman. Cashman says a lot of shit.
That's true.
And that's one of the things I call him out on all the time. They always do this.
Yeah. But we all said it in the past. DJ is better than Gleyber at second.
Of course. Not even close.
So for me, I'm putting DJ at second and Gio third.
But let's think logical. And that's the thing, because if we're playing a video game, we can easily make that move. How does it work out where DJ LeMahieu is the second baseman for the Yankees?
Well, that's what I said in the past. If you start in DJ at second base, Gleyber Torres is the odd man out. You have to trade him.
Alex, what do you think? And is that your idea of the best Yankee infield?
I would trade him. you know, obviously, once again, you said it's like playing a video game that it can easily be sorted. But trading him, in my opinion, is the best option because you're going to sacrifice a couple of things at a lot of other positions. Because if they don't get the top guy at shortstop and they get Andrelton Simmons, then who's your leader? Who's going to kick Gleyber Torres in the ass for playing garbage at second base? It's not going to be Correa.
We know that. It's not going to be the manager.
Yeah, it's not Boone. Maybe as Pete made the joke earlier, Carlos Beltran's going to come down from the Yes Network and he's going to come kick him in the ass. But you know, that means you would have to pursue a really good first baseman that's a leader, Freddie Freeman. If they don't get Freeman, LeMahieu's the first baseman. You're not going to really have you're not going to have leadership there. So honestly, trading him would be the best option. And then me personally, I've jumped on Pete's train with this idea. I personally, if you know, the Guardians, that's their name now, we're willing to make this guy available, I would try to pick up Jose Ramirez and get an upgraded third.
Oh man, I would do absolutely anything to get that guy in this lineup. I mean,
well, there's rumors about the Blue Jays being in on Ramirez.
I saw that recently here, and that same article they had a trade with who was it, Olsen, and was it Olsen and Minaya or Olsen and Montes coming back to the Yankees?
I think
it was Montes.
Montes? Thought it was.
Yeah.
Luca, what do you think about the infield then? Do you agree with your brother that you trade Gleyber?
I agree 100%. I think the best infield is Correa at short, LeMahieu at second, and Freeman at first.
Great infield. Think about that for a second. Imagine if that happened. And here's the thing that I think bothers us as Yankee fans, and it should bother us as Yankee fans. That could happen. And I think that's the thing why we're so upset as Yankee fans. And like, I had somebody message me, I was like, Pete, but you guys are continuing to talk about like what could happen. Yeah, of course, because look what's available. Like, this is better than 09. And yeah, I guess you could go back to the start of this because RB, Joe, you guys know this better than anybody. How many times did I say, there's almost no way you fail this offseason? The Yankees are like, well, hold my beer, buddy. I'm going to show you how. So, as of right now, that's kind of where we are. So, Joe, what do you agree with that you move on from Gleyber?
Oh, yeah, 100%. He's that tumor in your brain that you got to get rid of. You get rid of that, you piece everything else together.
Well, yeah, he's like the missing piece in the puzzle that just doesn't fit. And it's like you can't fit him somewhere. Because I don't know, and I guess the main question you then got to ask yourself is, has Brian Cashman gave you guys enough confidence that he will move him?
But the thing is, I mean, you're not keeping him anyway. You're not giving him a 5, 6, 7. You're not giving him a contract in 2 years. I don't see where you give him a contract in 2 years. So if you're going to move him, you move him now.
But you know, Cashman's ego, he traded for Gleyber. You trade Gleyber away, it's like saying Cashman did, his trade was bad. He lost a trade. You know how he is.
So what he does,
well,
he's been known for that.
There's people that are against it because of Gleyber's age. I think he's 24. So
I don't give a poot about that, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't give a crap about what his age. You want to know why when people say that? Here's my response to that. If you have any idea about the Yankee system, don't worry about young guys. Don't worry about young guys. They have a crop of young guys coming up that would make your head spin. And I'm talking here about the generic fan who may not know much about that. If you're going to bring up age, the hell with the age, trust me. You don't got to worry about that. Like, when are we going to get our heads on right and go, we wasted years of Aaron Judge already. We've already wasted years of Garrett Cole. Like, the idea with Cole was that you win in one of the first 3 years with him. Because you can't expect this guy to keep being great or keep being dominating.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, to go out and sign Correa, because people are saying, oh, just wait, just sign a stopgap or bring up Volpe. I'm like, listen, I love Volpe, okay? I know Volpe's dad's a big fan of the show. I don't want to make him seem like I'm against Volpe.
Dr. Volpe, what's going on, Dr. Volpe?
I love Volpe, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be an all-star with this team. But this team is a win now. Like you said, Pete, we wasted a couple of years already of Aaron Judge, Prime, and Cole and Stanton. Like, sign the players that's going to take this team to the next level and get us close to winning the World Series. That's why I keep saying, like, you have to go out and sign Correa. Yeah. Sign Freeman. Yeah. Like, people say, oh, that's not going to happen. Why not? This is the perfect opportunity.
Well, the only time people say that is because, again, they have no confidence in the ownership. That's the only thing.
The thing with Correa too is why like I've grown more to favor him over Story is because what he's going to bring to the Bronx and potentially what he might bring to Anthony Volpe. He's going to be a leader for him when he does come up, and that's something we need on that corner.
Yeah.
If you're going to keep Glaber and you're going to keep Gio after this 2022 season, I mean, it's not gonna bring down Volpe, but it's sure not going to bring him up either.
I always say this: how complains complains about, oh, I want to offer another $300 million contract, but let's say he signs Correa. Don't you think if he puts out a great product, the fans gonna pay whatever it costs?
Whatever, man. That's one of the things too on NYSC.
That contract
they
will pay
brought
itself
up.
off.
No doubt about it. The contract will pay itself off. One on jersey sales. That's what I'm saying. The jersey sales alone are going to be huge. So contracts like that, these guys make up very quickly. And also, let's remember, the Yankees are worth about $5 billion. The Yes Network alone is worth about $4 billion. We talked about this.
Exactly.
For anybody to offer up and try to buy that package, it's going to cost them about $16 billion to even attempt to buy it. So
that's just laughable. That's just laughable.
For anybody to sit there and say, well, they can't do this because they got to sign Judge, I don't know how they've brainwashed you guys this badly. I don't get it.
It's settling for mediocrity.
That's exactly what it is. And it's been brainwashed in the minds of the fan base. And I'm shocked to believe that so many people believe it.
Those are the kids, the young kids.
Well, I mean, hey, we got two young guys. Alex and Luke are much younger than me, at least. I know they're not much younger than Joe, but I mean, you guys are in here. You guys don't believe that, Alex. I'll throw that to you. I mean, you have that understanding enough that the Yankees can afford these guys, and they should.
Yeah, I mean, they have everything. They have everything pointing to their side. I have my standards high as usual, not like a lot of people last year where we were, coaching our players, just coaching the team like, they were up 10 games in the division and we were settling just for mediocrity and, oh, it's not that bad and stuff like that. I know where my standard is as a Yankee fan. I know what the expectation was going into the season. Kind of, I'll make a reference like the Dallas Cowboys, one and done.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I know what this team is. They've shown it multiple times in the past, in the Hal Steinbrenner years, a couple of times, and just overall to cap it off so I could give it to somebody else. With that being said, they have the advantage. It's up to them to make it their disadvantage. And I feel like if the Correa thing doesn't pan out and if a couple of things don't pan out, that's what's going to happen.
My goodness. Luca, what do you think about that, man?
I definitely think the Yankees' own enemies themselves, but when you talk about Pete of knowing what this organization is, I think these young fans really get brainwashed by what they read. It's the articles, it's the beat media.
I always say, man, it's the propaganda machine of the Yankees. It's obvious. You know how you knew it? I could tell you right now how you knew it. I'm sorry to cut you off, Luke. I'll let you continue here. Once the articles came out that Aaron Boone is the best manager on the planet, I said, holy shit. I said, it's obvious he's coming back. They're just getting everybody prepared for it. And once I saw that, I said, oh, well, it's the propaganda machine. I know what this is.
I mean, just look at the article that SNY released the other day. The Mets and the Yankees at the top of the World Series betting odds.
Yep.
Just ridiculous.
And the funny thing is, right, I retweet that, and a lot of the fans go, oh, Pete, that's just because they're making the assumption they're going to sign guys. No, what? How do you, let me tell you something. Nobody's sport betting on that. Nobody's going to put money up and go, oh, because of the assumption is we're guessing they're going to win the World Series because we are guessing they're going to sign Correa and Freeman. That's not, I mean, that's ridiculous. Joe, what do you think, man?
With this, where were we going? Didn't I go first? What was this?
Oh, no. I'm just saying about how fans are seeing this team and how they're buying into.
Oh, definitely the younger fan base is a little iffy with this. And like me being a part of it, like my thing is I had a brother who saw this team in the 90s. So I go off of that. And like obviously younger me when I was like 7, 8, I was watching all like the movies and documentaries of this team in the 90s. And I just look at that when I look at this team. And that's what I expect. and that's not what I've seen so far in this last 10 years from this team.
Yep. A couple of super chats real quick I want to get to before we move on. I want to ask you guys actually about a potential trade when it comes to Glaber. Rod Thompson, fam in the house. Shout out to the NY News fam. Keep doing your thing, loving the shows. Thank you, Ra. I know you're always there with us. Anthony Medina, another regular for us. Hey, guys, just want to wish you success this year of NY News TV. And please continue to spit the facts like you do so very well. Yes, we will do that. And then good old Ruben, our good friend Ruben, says Sweeney could be a super fast riser this year as well. These current crop prospects seem really legit. Curious where cash goes in free agency and trades. Well, that's kind of what I want to get to, Ruben. You lead us right into this. When you look at the Yankees minor league system, I had Eli Fishman on. There's guys like Everson Piera who a lot of people don't know about, but this guy got like every single tool in the system. I think he's ranked top 10 now, maybe under 7 usually on everybody's list, minimum. But they got so many guys that are not far away. So when I hear people say, well, I want to hold on to Glaber, what if Oakland says we want Glaber a part of a deal for Olsen? I mean, is anybody turning that deal down?
No.
I mean, even if a starting pitcher's not involved, if like, hey, give us Luis Gil, Glaber, and Estevan Florial. Okay. No problem. Because I think at the end of the day, like what we're talking about here, if you make that trade, look how much better your infield just got.
Yeah, you just knocked down 2 stones.
Damn right. You improved that second base already because you got the best second baseman on the team who you're not playing, who you're not planning on playing at his best position. You put him there, and then you arguably put the best first baseman in baseball at first base. And then you also add your lefty bat.
Exactly.
I mean, it's a win everywhere.
Exactly. I just don't understand when people were like, "Oh, first baseman, it's not that important." I'm like, have you guys seen last season when Anthony Rizzo played first base? How much of a difference the infield was?
Yep.
Like you have Rizzo going up to a door like, "Listen, just throw me the ball. I'll grab it. I'll scoop it. Throw me the ball."
Yep.
And then compared to Luke Voigt at first, as much as I love Voigt, it was a disaster.
Yeah, I want to talk about Voigt too, but let me go around the room real quick. Alex, do you trade? I know we kind of already said it, but in a deal involving Oakland, are you more than willing to say, move on, Glaber, go? You could take him. You can have him.
Yeah, like you brought up in another argument, I forget where and when it was, but you're trading what could be for proven.
Right.
So I don't really get these, fans coming out here. And I'm a fan myself, so I'm not, somebody at the Yes Network criticizing fans. I'm a fan myself. I'm a fan before content creator. But with that being said, I don't get where the fans are coming from. Oh, bring up Volpe right away or bring up Correa or something like that. Yeah, but we're not winning or planning to win in 2026. We're not doing that right now. We're winning, planning on it next year, this year, whatever the hell you want to call it. You're trading for a proven asset, and you're making your team better.
Well, we're a win. I assume we're still a win now club, and that's the thing that pisses me off more than anything. Luca, go ahead.
I agree with Alex. I think I also think trading Glaber to like Oakland just gives Glaber a fresh start and just puts less pressure on him in a smaller market. Plus, I think Oakland is heading for a rebuild. I mean, obviously Bob Melvin left, and looks like they might trade Matt Olson and maybe Unaya, but it's just a fresh start for all parties.
Yeah, then they're gonna, they're turning the franchise over to Mark Kotze, who's gonna be the new manager. Mark Kotze was a very good hitter for years, very professional type hitter for a long time. But Arby, I think you are there with us, right? You would definitely move Glaber, no problem.
Oh my God, there's no way in hell I'm letting Glaber stop me from trading for Matt Olson.
I don't know why. I just got like a picture in my head of Gary Sanchez smiling. I have no idea why. I'm just sitting here talking about like, why the hell, Gary? What the hell are you haunting me for?
I have another team that nobody talks about, a potential trade for Glaber, but it's not for first baseman though. The Diamondbacks.
For Marte or Carson Kelly?
Both.
Let me tell you guys. I'm gonna make a prediction real quick. Starting pitcher, the Yankees should be all over because he's going to have a huge season. Zach Gallen. Hold that name, keep that name, Zach Gallen is going to have a monster season. Remember I said it. Now, I don't know if they'll trade him, but Zach Gallen, often injured. I think he's finally healthy, coming back. Had a good second half, I believe. Zach Gallen is a monster. If you do anything, trade for him. William also says in the comments he's right. The Yankees need another ace behind Garrett Cole. You cannot rely on what they got right now. I'm so sick of people saying, well, Pete Severino's back. Severino, nothing. You have no idea what you're getting. You would go after him?
Rodon, as in Francisco Rodon?
Carlos.
Carlos.
I don't know where I was getting Francisco from, but yeah, I think I would if it upgrades the rotation and gets a proven commodity behind Garrett Cole. Yeah, I even said before, and people have said to me, well, I don't think Steinbrenner is gonna put him in the package because of how, and I'm like, Oakland's rebuilding, but Chris Bassett, wouldn't that be a nice 1-2 punch?
Hell yeah. Any of their guys would be. I never knew Manaea was as good as he is. I watched him. I went through some highlights with him. I saw some breakdown video. That would be an amazing 1-2 punch. Alex, let's talk about our amazing 1-2 punch, which should have been Robbie Ray. I mean, that was just money. $23 million a year. $23 million a year. I'll be upset about this. If I'll predict it now, Robbie Ray has a 5 ERA next year. I'm still mad about it. I'm still gonna be mad about it. It's not gonna change my mind. But no, man. I think we all agree we would move off from Glaber. I think there's still many ways that you improve this club. I think there's many options. Like Arby, you brought up a trade, like you just said. I mean, maybe you do that for Marte. Maybe you get Carson Kelly. I'll tell you guys this. Whoever brought it up, I think it might have been Arby. You brought it up when you said that one of the things that Steinbrenner brought up was that he blamed the players for a lot of this. Well, you got to make changes then. The Yankees are going to come back with Gary Sanchez as their catcher? And I don't want to stick on the whole Gary Sanchez conversation, but I mean, I've said this before and I'll say it again. I do want to talk about Carlos Rodon a little more. Well, I mean, it plays into your catcher. Do you want a guy like Gary Sanchez catching a guy like Carlos Rodon? No way. Not a guy that needs to throw a ball in the dirt every now and then. I mean, I have no confidence in this guy at all. So if the Yankees really want to win, I think it's a bad sign to the fans that they're saying, no, we haven't changed this guy out. I mean, you could put the video on YouTube right now and see some of his plays, and you're like, yeah, this guy's not a catcher. I mean, what are they doing? I mean, how many years are they going to go with this? So, I mean, RB, what do you think on that one, man? I mean, how in the hell do you let the fan base know we're looking to improve and get better when you bring back a catcher that 3/5 of your rotation didn't want to throw to towards the end of the year?
Well, that's exactly, you nailed it. Like, you can't have a catcher that scares the pitchers to throw their best pitches. Like with Garrett Cole, like if you had Gary Sanchez in the back, it changes Garrett Cole game plan for that game. Because like, I can't throw my best pitches to Gary Sanchez because he's gonna misplay the ball or not even catch it. So now I got to throw my second or third best pitch so that Gary Sanchez can catch. That's why you need a catcher that's defensively and has a great frame game. That's all I always say. Wilson Contreras, like, you go after him. Once this lockout ends, talk to the Cubs. Wilson Contreras is a massive upgrade. I don't get it with people saying, like, oh, Gary Sanchez is better or they're kind of equal. No.
They're not equal. No way.
They're not equal.
I mean, I could see where people could say that he's not the greatest defensive upgrade, but he's definitely a better defensive catcher. I mean, people, I don't care what analytic number you find. You could find me analytic numbers all day. I'm going to show you a few plays. That's all I'm going to do. I don't give a crap what your analytical numbers say. All I got to do is show you a few plays. Joe, what are your thoughts around that? Is there any way in hell this guy, I mean, is it a win for you if he comes back? Is there any way of just sitting back and saying, well, it is what it is, he's back?
Nah, I think if he's sitting back there, I mean, I don't even know how you put him back there.
That's my
3/5 of your rotation didn't want to pitch to him.
And let's also not forget, Montgomery's not going nowhere. He didn't want to pitch to him at the end of the year. You could take Kluber out.
Those are your important guys, too.
Exactly. We know Kluber, okay, Kluber's gone. We understand that. But Cole, who is your $300-something million pitcher, doesn't want to throw to this guy. What are you holding on to him for?
And you get a guy like
weird.
Manaea over here who feeds off of that off-speed stuff. Nah, no way you can put Gary back there.
Yep, definitely. And we're gonna talk about another pitcher now. Let me just get to the super chat from Tyler. Yankees get Jose Ramirez for Jason Dominguez, Clark Schmidt, Gleyber Torres, and Luis Medina. That's a lot. But man, to get Jose, I hate. By the way, I hate trade suggestions from myself or anybody. I hate them because they're just annoying, in my opinion. But I tell you what, and I'm not saying that to you, Tyler. You can say whatever you want. I'm just saying it's hard to be like, yeah, that's a good deal. I don't know. I don't
You
know
don't know the value.
I don't know the value of if that makes sense or not. But Jose Ramirez would be amazing in this lineup. But I want to stick on pitching for a second. Alex brought up Carlos Rodon. I'll start here and then I'll ask everybody about him. Rodon is very similar to a guy like Robbie Ray, where his strikeout numbers are through the roof, but you just pray that he's healthy. And I think the difference, though, for him is that he's never really had health on his side, ever. So you would have to go in with a guy like Rodon and potential-wise, all day, every day. Nobody would say no to this guy, his potential. If he can guarantee you 150 innings, you do it 10 times out of 10. But how likely is that? That's the concern for me. Would I sit here and be like, well, a dumb move for the Yankees if they got him? No. I'd support it. I say, well, maybe to bite him on the ass, but it's worth the shot. It's a good idea because if it works, it's going to be exceptional. So, Alex, what is it about him that you see and you're like, go get this guy?
Well, personally, I haven't seen, I don't know much about Carlos Rodon. I've just seen a lot of suggestions, and I really haven't said no to it. Let me take a quick glance at that. So he was 13-5 last year and
huge K numbers.
24 starts, 2.37 ERA. Yeah, had a career high in Ks, 185. Was fifth in Cy Young voting and was an All-Star. So, I mean, I think you mentioned something about 150 innings or whatever. So I'm going to guess that goes along the lines of injury. Personally, if that is the case with Rodon, and once again, I didn't really watch a lot of him in Chicago, I think we have enough pitching depth, whether it be Heel or some of the other guys, to at least take the reins for a little bit, and then Rodon comes back in, then basically you have that for the rest of the season or whatever. I would like to pose a topic after the Rodon's, after everybody puts their stuff on Rodon. Just a question. Do you think that the Yankees should sign at least one relief pitcher? And I have a name in mind, me personally, because I feel that obviously Britton's not pitching next year. And honestly, a lot of people are like, oh, look at the back end stretch. I'm done with Chapman. Get in Loizaga. But once again, everyone should give their thoughts on Rodon.
Yeah, let's go around the room real quick. Luca, would you take the risk on Rodon?
I definitely sign Rodon. I know people are going to live off the hype from Nestor Cortez from last season, but let's be real. Nestor Cortez is more of a long reliever and a best insurance policy for starting pitchers. So let's not live off of a one-year glory, should I say, and just best reserve Cortez as an insurance policy. And if you get that upgrade in Carlos Rodon, you get that upgrade.
Yeah, Nestor is one of those guys where his stuff just makes you not believe. That's the weird thing with Nestor. He'll get through it, but you're like, man, that stuff's going to get hit one day. That's my concern with him too. I wouldn't be so upset if he's in the rotation or if he's just that sixth guy, but I tend to agree with you on that myself. Arby, what do you think about Rodon?
I agree with the rest of the with Alex and Luca. I would sign Rodon, but not to a lengthy contract. Like
that's my thing. I think the contract means everything for him.
Yeah, like if it's like a 1 or 2 year deal with heavy incentives, based on how he does, I'm all right. Because it's the moment you start Rodon, it's already an upgrade in the rotation. Of course, especially that he's a lefty.
Yeah.
I love a lefty, and then you put him behind Cole or third, wherever. But my fear, again, is just him being injury prone. That just like it's a whole nother deja vu of Corey Kluber.
Right. And because fans say, fans talk about Aaron Judge being injury prone when his injuries actually been legitimate injuries. Carlos Rodon is injury prone. I mean, Carlos Rodon has never had a full season, nowhere close to it. So that's the scariest thing about a guy like Rodon. Joe, what do you think about him?
I'm tired of going after these guys that are injury prone. I mean, I think Cashman and this front office is actually serious about getting a number two, because obviously you went after Verlander. You were going to pay him close to $30 million. I think you just go out and get Manaea and that's it. Close the books. That's it.
You know what's really comical too, and then Alex, we're going to get to your question. I actually got a couple of super chats I think to get to. No, just one from Ruben. But let me just throw this out there real quick. The Yankees offseason is so odd because it's almost like, and it's like what you just said, Joe, right? They need a first baseman, need a starter. Okay. Oakland provides that. I mean, and it's like, and Oakland has his hands in the air being like, yeah, let's make a deal. Anybody, come on, what's up? We'll trade these guys. We'll move them. So it's almost like we see the perfect game plan, but it's like the Yankees aren't following that. And that's concerning, and it will be concerning until they actually do something. But let me get to Ruben's super chat here. It says, it's funny how people say Contreras is not really an upgrade. Last 4 years, Contreras hit .251 average, .345 on-base percentage, and a .442 slugging percentage, .788 OPS, and a .108 OPS plus. Sanchez hit .201, .299 on-base percentage, .444 slugging, .743 OPS, .99 OPS plus. So even the numbers obviously show you that Contreras is much better. And Ruben, I appreciate the numbers throwing it out there for us to confirm our thoughts. But getting into what Luca says. So Luca, your question basically was, would we sign a relief pitcher?
That was mine.
That was your. I'm sorry, Alex. I'm sorry. That was your question. That should we sign a relief pitcher? I can quickly say no. I would put no money towards the bullpen whatsoever. What was the name you had in mind?
Personally, I mean, I was just, and I've had this thought for a little bit of months now, and obviously everybody's, or at least most of the Yankee fan base, is on the board for Correa. I just feel like we need one relief pitcher because sometimes we could see how the Yankees mismanage their pitching staff. So obviously you got Heel as a possible bullpen option or a backup starter, Nestor, Herman. Clay Holmes obviously was very good last year. Joely Rodriguez was better than expected. But then again, you got Britton and you got Aroldis Chapman. And I think you're missing a setup guy. I also don't know. He probably qualifies as a setup guy. And he had his option declined in Los Angeles. I would personally, me in my opinion, without looking too much into it, I would go after Joe Kelly.
Okay. Could be good. I like the personality on the club, definitely. Yankees need more of that. What do you, Arby? Are you agreeing here or?
Well, I agree with CUP as in like I wouldn't even touch the bullpen, but Joe Kelly in New York, like I wouldn't be against that either.
Okay. Let me say this real quickly. It's not going to happen if Carlos Correa is already on the team.
Oh shit, that's right. Oh man, that would be freaking interesting. That's would be like really interesting.
Teixeira and that other guy back in Texas.
Vicente Padilla.
Yeah,
what was his name again?
I can't pronounce that.
Vicente Padilla.
Vicente Padilla.
Also,
yeah, remember when Teixeira homered off him at Yankee Stadium? They had like a long at bat. He hit a bomb to right center field. Padilla was pissed.
Yeah. Also to add real quickly before I give this to somebody else, also Austin Romine and Miguel Cabrera were on the same team for a year.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they made that work. They got in the fight. That's the one when I really lost respect for Gary Sanchez because he got the sucker punching. Remember that? When he was Cabrera was on the ground and he just sucker punched him. Like that was messed up. That was messed up, man. Can't go for that. Who is this in the comments? Griminator says we should have signed JT Realmuto. Yes, we should have. And I'm very happy to say me and Felix were on that way before anybody else. Talking about the Yankees need to move on from Gary and get JT because Gary was on a downward trend that we didn't see him coming out of, especially from the things I heard. I mean, just the things I heard about Gary. And I was, I think the first one to ever put news about him, with conditioning and things like that. And everybody was so pissed when I did that. And then the good thing for me was it was then confirmed like a month later by A-Rod. I forgot what coach it was that got fired. But he came out. I was like, yeah, he came in way out of shape compared to what we wanted. And he didn't do the drills. He didn't want to. So Gary's Gary. One day he'll be gone. I'll just put it that way. One day he'll be gone. But Joe, what do you think? Adding a relief pitcher or no?
Ooh, I like the conversation we're going to get into, but I wouldn't necessarily sign someone. I wouldn't be opposed to trading someone, but I would actually touch the bullpen. But the only thing I'm doing is trading Chad Green. in the offseason.
Him too. I want him gone.
I think
Okay.
that's a piece we don't need. I don't think it's going to work in the AL East anymore, as we've seen. And I think that's somebody we can also get something worth back from if we do trade him.
Luca, what do you think?
I'm personally on the board, the bandwagon of shipping Chad Green off. I think, I don't know, it's either his off speed or his fastball is too hittable.
It's
Like we
curveball
saw
become very
last
hittable
season.
too, which is his best pitch.
Definitely. And again, I'm actually with Alex for signing Joe Kelly, because if we're gonna keep Chad Green here, he's just too inconsistent. Like, he can be good, but I don't know. I just don't feel a consistency with him.
Yeah,
I agree.
I actually agree with that, and I'm on the record of saying I trade him and Chapman, and I'd give whatever it takes to get rid of Chapman. If a team wanted a good young prospect, go ahead. Take most of that contract and you can have him. I'll let him go. The Yankees, I guess the main reason why I sit back and say I'm not looking to spend money in that area is because how much talent they have in this system with pitchers, and they're very, very close. We saw what Steven Ridings did last year. We saw so many glimpses of Albert Abreu. And those are just a couple of names, but there's so many. There's so many that are right there, either in AAA or AA, that are right there. Domingo Germán, we already know about. We know about Luis Gil, who could be there. Luis Medina could potentially help at some point out of the pen. But a lot of those names we've already seen, even with Britton's going to miss most of the year. But even Ken Waldachuk's another guy who is another young pitcher and going to likely be in AA or AAA, but is going to make a lot of starts there. Another guy, J.P. Sears, who we talked about on the interview with Eli Fishman, who just misses bats. I mean, and he throws low 90s, but could be a very effective relief pitcher. So that's just an area that I'm always like, I hate the idea that we got two guys we're spending over $30 million for. So when people talk about, the Yankees have a payroll, they do spend money, but they spend it like shit.
And the wrong guys.
They spend it on the wrong guys. And Jim Duggan in the comments says Abreu sucks. Yeah, Jim, you were probably saying the same exact thing about John Loaizaga, because I remember everybody wanted to trade Loaizaga. He was garbage. He couldn't pitch, and then all of a sudden he got his stuff together and he dominates. And I think Abreu is actually also doing pretty well in the Dominican League, so he's still out there working. So there's a lot of talent, a crop of talent the Yankees have in the minors.
We'll also see a full season from Wandy and Holmes too. Two underrated guys.
And then another name too. They also got Jimmy Cordero, who they also did sign this year, who was a free agent, a minor league deal. And Jimmy Cordero got some good, really good stuff. So it could be a nice pickup. He pitched for the White Sox for a little bit. Had a tough year last year. His fielding independent pitching was a lot better than his ERA, but misses bats, not a lot of hard contact, good off-speed stuff. So they have their options there on that, but this is just a team that we'll be talking about this until the first game of the season, to be quite honest, is that what could happen, what could have been, what we missed on. I truly believe that Robbie Ray was a miss. I'll continue to say that forever. I think he was a big miss. We'll see what happens. Go ahead.
But Pete, he's just like Jordan Montgomery.
Oh God, please, yeah, FIP you. I had the FIP you shirt on before this, so I didn't wear it. I didn't finish wearing. I said, let me represent the podcast a little bit. But man, what a miss that is. To miss out on a guy like Robbie Ray, and then we might be saying the same things about a few other guys too. So hopefully we're not. But I guess we don't have much else to talk about. Does anybody else have any other topics that they wanted to discuss or go over?
I just wanted to since Luca was talking about the whole Montgomery thing, and then you said the FIPU part. I saw an article, I think a few weeks back, where somebody apparently came out and said, "Oh, what are you talking about? Gene Michael didn't scout guys based on batting average."
Oh God. People, and that's a good thing you bring up. I'm happy you bring that up because I saw this often. I saw some comments about what Gene Michael didn't. Yeah, they're not going to just scout guys, people, that have a high bat. But the thing is, well, maybe they were looking at this. No, they were just watching with their own friggin' eyes. That's what these guys do. So Gene Michael was actually a very big guy on base percentage. Their idea was take a lot of pitches. I do like what RB, help me out here. My mind is blank here. New hitting coach. Anybody remember?
Dyson?
Dylan Lawson?
Dylan Lawson. Dylan Lawson's belief is, and I actually heard Anthony Volpe actually speak about this at the dinner I went to. His approach is very much, if you get a good pitch to hit it hard. Simple as that. If you don't, lay off it. I know and that's easier said than done, but he does drills that help you on that. He does a lot of drills that really focus on laying off a bad pitch. If it's 0-2 and you get a strike, hit it hard. Hit the ball hard somewhere. Hit strikes hard, lay off balls. Don't go after them. I know people probably sit there and go, well, isn't that just baseball? That's just hitting. But if that's your philosophy, that's being drilled in these guys' heads. And I can't sit here and just say, well, maybe it's a coincidence that all these minor leaguers did so damn good under him. I mean, I don't know. I tell you one guy I would love to see to take that information, Joey Gallo.
Oh, yes.
I would love to see Joey Gallo maybe swing at some 0-0 pitches, those easy fastballs down the middle. I like to see him maybe people bring up this, well, he gets on base a lot. I get it. I get that. But I would like to see him get on base a little less, hit a little more homers, and maybe get a couple of singles and doubles here and there too. Get out.
Think about him leading off.
Oh God, please no. Alex, go ahead.
I saw that. So here's my point about Joey Gallo gets on base a lot, and like some of the people when Gallo came over, because I'm not too much of a fan of Joey Gallo. People know that on my channel, and you'll get to know that a little bit about me on Twinbill as we go into the season. They're talking about, oh, well, yeah, great. Joey Gallo gets on base. And what do the Yankees do with the runners on base? They don't do anything. Okay, so that's that. I'm sorry, Joey Gallo, yeah, he could be good in that aspect. And people saying, oh, his walks for whatever the hell, people were saying during the whole trade deadline. Yeah, that's the best in his career. And Joe Schmo could have hit 250, and that was the best in his career or something like that. So stop, with all the, careers, this, that, and the other thing. Yeah. And the other thing that pisses me off, and it just happens to be really the new Yankee fans and the new people trying to justify stuff. They're using old players. They're talking about old players with advanced analytics like it actually matters. No, yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I totally agree with that. One of the things I just had it in my mind about Gallo. The thing with Joey Gallo is that I guess drives me mad when it comes to the whole analytic nerd party that really, really, as Peter Griffin said, grinds my gears. Which really grinds my gears about this is Joey Gallo is a rarity. And that I've been trying to explain this so much because analytic people love to go, what about Joey Gallo? Give me another player that bats 200 that can have a 370 on base percentage. Find me one, I'll wait. I'll wait all day until you find me. And on top of that, it hasn't been common in his career, like Alex said. His first half with Texas, everybody in the world would take. A 220 average, 225, 379 on base percentage, and whatever the hell his slugging was, which was through the roof. Guess what he did with the Yankees? You guys know already. 160. 160 and under 300 on base percentage. So, and they still want him leading off. I mean, and on top of that, pitchers weren't pitching around him. Pitchers said, through this lineup, I'd rather pitch to you. Is what pitchers were doing. They were saying, well, I'm going to get Gallo out, we know. You know what I mean? So my whole thing for people that say that is, yeah, if Joey Gallo next year is the guy he was in Texas, it's awesome. Everybody would be ecstatic about that because that's the best Joey Gallo you're going to find. But even like Joe, you were saying, you mentioned, well, if he has this type of year, and I was like, well, he never really done any of that together. He's never had a year when he had 40 homers and a 350 on base percentage. I think when he hit 40 2 years in a row, his on-base percentage was under 330. So he's a rarity in the sense of he could really be effective, maybe more so than a guy that hits 260, because he could get on base at a higher clip and hit for way more power. So I understand that aspect of analytics. I know what I'm talking about when it comes to that. But to sit here and just be like,
he's my argument on why he's better than this guy because he's more productive. No, stop it. Definitely not. Definitely not. But Joe, I know you're a fan of Gallo. What are you expecting from him this year? And do you like the idea of him leading off?
No, I hate that idea. But I mean, right now I don't really have any predictions for him because my thing with Gallo is it's going to be the people around them. It's going to be where he is in the lineup, and I think if Cashman does add the players we need, and Gallo's batting 7th, 6th, 8th, that's when he's gonna be in his best. And if that's what's gonna happen, then I think you're gonna see a great season from Gallo.
Yeah, the last thing I want to see him do is put more pressure on Gallo. I don't think it worked well early on. I would also like to see him in center field, to be fair. I really would. I would like to see Gallo be the starting center fielder, go out there, get Seiya Suzuki, and I would be a happy camper. Matter of fact, I'm such an asshole. I'm sorry. I'd probably be happy if they did nothing but just got rid of Gary Sanchez. I'd be like, they desperately improved. I got 2 super chats to talk about. And then I actually do want to continue on the conversation briefly about Gallo leading off. Tyler says Matt Olson and Frankie Montes for Oswald Peraza, Luke Voigt, Randy Vasquez, and Medina. I do it. I know Vasquez is a prospect people don't know about. Amazing stuff. Has some of the best spin rate in all of the minor leagues and even the majors. Misses a ton of bats. Going to rise through the system very, very quickly. Luis Medina, maybe one of my favorite Yankee pitching prospect. Saw him in Somerset this year. Somerset, terrific player. I think he's going to be really good. And then Ruben also says Gallo misses too many pitches in the zone. His on-base percentage can honestly only go up if he hits for a higher average. The problem is hitting in the zone. That is very true. We've seen that a lot with Gallo last year. And
oof, I'm getting flashbacks to those fastballs.
Down the middle, right? I remember that. You know what it reminds me of? You guys remember the playoff series when all of a sudden A-Rod came back from hip surgery and he couldn't hit a fastball anymore? And the Yankees face, you guys might be too young. I don't know. I know RB, I don't know. I don't even know how old you are, RB. What are you, 21?
20.
You're 20?
Thank you.
You're 20?
No, 28.
28. Okay, so you might remember, man. I feel like
Thank you.
I'm only 30, 32, and I feel
Wasn't
like
that
I'm
in
the oldest.
09 where he came back from the hip injury?
You know what,
And
Joe?
then-
Now I'm upset. I feel really old here. I feel like I'm the old damn man in the room. You know how you know when you're old? When you gotta like do a date of birth, you gotta keep scrolling down to get to like where you are. It's not as quick as it used to be. But no, they faced the Indians, and he faced a guy. If you guys remember, Paul Bird.
Oh Lord.
Paul Bird only threw like 87 miles an hour, and he was striking A-Rod out with fastballs right down the middle. And he just had it, and he came back. You could see he couldn't turn on the ball that quick anymore.
Yeah.
It was terrible. Guys in the comments, if you're in the comments and you remember that, let me know you remember that because I remember it vividly. Vividly, I remember those games, and it drove me nuts. But Gallo just to me is not. I like what Joe said. If you got Gallo batting 6th or 7th, I think that's the perfect spot for him.
Oh my God.
Alex, what do you think
Perfect,
of?
man.
Oh, Arby, go ahead. What do you think about him leading off for you as a no, right?
No. Why would you have a strikeout player leading off? Like, I understand people's argument.
Because he could walk, Joe.
Okay.
Arby, he could walk. Okay.
Who's gonna bring him in? Who's gonna bring him in to score?
Casper.
Carlos Correa.
Okay, you got me there. But no, I'd rather have him batting in the bottom of the order where there's no pressure for him. You put him in the bottom of the order, I think he will have a magnificent season. Especially this is a contract season. This is the last year.
Yeah.
So he has to perform along with Gary Sanchez as well.
Yeah. Oh my God, please. I hope it's not his last season. Hope he already had his last season with us. Alex, what do you think? Leading off with Joey G.
Yeah, absolutely not. I would put him towards the bottom of the order, and I just hated how the Yankees, I guess, were so egotistical. And I think this is egotistical because they traded for him. They were so late to do that when he was on that struggle, and they had him in like 2nd, 3rd in the order. Then they placed him down with DJ LeMahieu because LeMahieu started struggling even more last year. But one thing I think will help Joey Gallo, and I think it also, this is obviously if the Yankees make moves post-lockout, and it will also help if they traded Sanchez and they got somebody like Wilson Contreras in, who's not that great offensively, is if everybody else started clicking. Because if you get Freddie Freeman, if you get Carlos Correa or whoever, and make your top of the lineup better, he's going to help out the bottom of the lineup with that power, and it's just going to make the offense and the team a lot better. But if you don't get anybody and settle for stopgaps and prospects, he's just going to look probably the same as last year.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Edwin and Anthony, for not making me feel too old. I appreciate that. Luca, what do you think about Gallo leading off?
I also don't feel Gallo leading off. I'm kind of with that old school approach when it comes to leadoff hitters. Like, I like leadoff hitters who are speedy, take a lot of pitches, and draw walks.
Me too, man.
Basically,
Me too.
table setters.
You know who would have been wonderful? Starling Marte. He would have been terrific. He would have been terrific. Joe, did I get to you already on Gallo?
Yeah, you got to me with Gallo.
So, I mean, yeah, I don't see that as being prototypical. I always go back to it. I tell everybody all the time, man, if you want to see what a top of an order looked like, go back to the 09 team. That's all you got to look at.
Damon and Jeter, man.
Damon and Jeter, man. That's all you got to look at. They got on base. They hit the ball, sprayed it all over the field. That's what they did. That's why guys like Whit Merrifield are very good top of the order hitters. Believe it or not, when DJ LeMahieu's healthy, he's a very good top of the order hitter because he sprays the ball everywhere. You don't know where he's going. Interesting fact about LeMahieu. I would have assumed that this year he hit the ball on the ground more than he ever has, which actually it's not the case.
He was popping up a lot.
Yeah,
if I remember.
Yeah, because I know he hit in so many double plays, but it's actually not the case. He actually had higher ground ball rates in his career than before last year. So thought that was pretty interesting. But I really don't have much else to talk about. Unfortunately, we don't have news here. Seiya Suzuki, as somebody just threw out there in the comments, I would love Seiya Suzuki. Alex, go ahead.
I have a question. And we were just talking about him when you're talking about Paul Bird. I have a question for the chat, and I have a question for everybody here. I know Luca's answer, so if he wants to input his opinion once again, he can if he wants. Does everybody dislike Alex Rodriguez as much as many people do, or in terms of this chat in the Zoom and all that other stuff as well? Everybody here. Do you dislike Alex Rodriguez as much as other people do because of his shtick against analytics and just because of who he is overall? Or do you actually like him a lot better? Because I remember last year when he was talking about trading for Ramon Laureano and all the other guys, everyone started ripping him. Yeah, let's trade for Mike Trout too. Does everybody hate him that much in terms of this chat? Or is it just, okay, those are just the casuals and the people and just the analytical geeks?
That's a tough one.
I think it's here's the thing with A-Rod. Let me try to answer this the best way I can. I'll answer it by saying this. Man makeup. I'm just kidding. He has his own line of man makeup, but I'm not going there. Alex Rodriguez has had a very weird career. To put it like that. I think there's a lot going on up here throughout his whole career. He's weird because A-Rod could have always let his bat do the talking, but it seems like he just needed more. No matter what it was, there had to be a headline, or he had to do something weird, like the time he was kissing himself in the mirror. You guys remember that when that came out? He was doing the pictures and he was kissing himself in the mirror, and everybody's like, "What are you doing?" And then the comments about Jeter was like, people bring up, well, Correa did it. They weren't teammates and they weren't competing at the same time. These two were known to be like somewhat best friends, and apparently, according to Jeter, they were. They were very, very close. And he came out and was like, well, he's not the guy you fear and blah, blah, blah. And whether you say it's true or not, it was like a slap in the back of the head. Like, this guy's not as good as you guys act like he is. Imagine if I was on that team. And my thing is with A-Rod is I don't personally hate A-Rod. I think he made a lot of really, really poor choices for whatever reason. And I'm not even talking about the steroid stuff. I don't give a poot about steroids. I never have. I never will. You can say it's cheating or not. There's been a lot of guys that took steroids and weren't that good. And it's funny because, you give guys steroids today, for an example. I mean, are we really expecting somebody to break Barry Bonds' record? I don't think so. I mean, we got a juice ball. Did anybody say that season shouldn't count?
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
A lot of people brought up the fact that Brett Gardner that year, 27 homers, 29 or whatever it was.
He hit more than Judge.
Yeah,
28.
Gleyber Torres was the greatest. Was looking like, damn, we got the next Cano on our hands.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I mean, my thing
I
is
never
for
understood that either.
my thing is for when it comes to Alex Rodriguez, that's the way I say it. It's unfortunate because he should be a guy that everybody should look at and be like, man, we got to witness one of the greatest hitters of all time, and one of the greatest shortstops ever. I think you rank him either 1 or 2 as best shortstops of all time. I know a lot of people say Honus Wagner and that, but I'm talking about that was the dead ball era. Those are tough guys to compare. But however you do that, fine. But in our generation, A-Rod was the best shortstop. There's no denying that. There's no denying that. Was Jeter a better role model and a better player overall, like for the things he did? You could make that case. A-Rod just did a lot of stupid-ass things that really hurt him. It really hurt him. And then he also went out with Madonna when she was like 52. And I'm like, it was just weird. It's just that, the kissing himself in the mirror, the man makeup. I don't know, A-Rod. What are you doing? I don't know. Joe, what are your opinions on Alex?
Kind of weird with A-Rod because I'm same thing with you. It's just a weird vibe from A-Rod and like everything in the past. I don't think the steroids have much to do with it anymore. I just think it's just people at this point, they just don't like him, and that's fine. But if you can sit there and listen to him, I know he's annoying to listen to, but if you actually listen to him, I tend to like him more than I did before, and I actually wish I was more into him before because he's actually probably one of the smartest baseball minds
No doubt.
on the earth, and he's probably one of the best baseball players to ever play. And it's just everything that he's probably done off of the field that makes people not like him.
You know, I got to jump in on this because Hirsch just said this and it reminded me of it. I remember, and people are going to say, I can't believe like that really bothered you that much. When he, damn, what was his name again? You guys will probably know the pitcher's name. I can't think of his name right now. In the playoffs against the Red Sox when he slapped the ball out of the glove. Bronson Arroyo. That, you talk about a level of disrespect towards the Yankees and overall baseball. I mean, that was as Bush League as you get. I mean, that was as Bush League as you get. Then I remember somebody on Toronto, I think it was Toronto, got pissed at him. Remember because he had a pop-up and he ran behind him? Who was it again?
John McDonald.
John McDonald. He got pissed because he was like, I got it. To me, that's comical. That to me is more like, I don't know if I see that as Bush League because I'm like, you got to be a little more aware in a sense. It's a pop-up. Come on, you got to be a little more aware.
A fan can say that.
A fan could do it. They do it all the time, don't they? So my thing is, the Bronson Arroyo thing, that was truly disgraceful. To the fact I remember they asked Jeter about it. He's like, I got no comment on that. Like, he didn't even want to talk about it. It was just terrible. It was really, really bad. So that's what I'm saying about A-Rod. Joe, you're right. I think he's one of the smartest minds. I would love to sit down with A-Rod. I would love to talk baseball with Alex. I would love to. He knows his shit more than most people do. But, yeah, that was my thoughts on him. Luca, I don't think I ever heard your opinion on Alex.
I generally like him, and he's kind of goofy at times. He made some poor mistakes and poor decisions in his baseball life and life in general, but I like him.
Yeah, and I've always said, man, I don't. People are so quick to judge guys, and they judge Mark McGwire, and if you guys don't mind, let's wrap up on the Hall of Fame. I actually want to get into that briefly. They do this to Mark McGwire. They do it to Rafael Palmeiro, who was just a great ball player. They do it to Barry Bonds, who everybody knows one of the greatest hitters of all time. There's I don't care, steroids or not. They do it to Roger Clemens, who was one of the greatest pitchers of all time.
Kurt Schilling.
They do it to Kurt Schilling, Sammy Sosa. And Kurt Schilling has nothing to do with steroids, but they still do it to him because the writers just don't like him. Gary Sheffield. The list goes on and on of these guys that are not Alex Rodriguez. These guys are not going to get in the Hall of Fame. Just think about that. I mean, you may have a situation here where David Ortiz gets in, but Alex Rodriguez doesn't. Or Barry Bonds or Roger Clemens because David Ortiz was friendly and people liked him. But he also got busted for PEDs. Nobody wants to talk about that. Pudge Rodriguez is sitting in the Hall of Fame right now, and everybody knows he took steroids. I love Mike Piazza. Mike Piazza, there was a ton of rumors about Piazza and steroids. Jeff Bagwell. They're all in it. So How do you have a Hall of Fame and you try to tell you talk about baseball? So me, telling my kids about it or their grandkids about it, my grandkids, and I eventually bring up, this guy Barry Bonds was probably one of the best ball players ever. Who? He's not. I didn't see him in my Cooperstown book. You know what I mean? You can't tell the story of baseball without speaking these guys' names. How would it not? And here's the thing that bothers me more than anything. Before I turn it over, I'll turn it over to Alex first. Major League Baseball is so full of shit. I'll tell you why. Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa saved baseball. These guys could have committed murder, and they should still be hailed as legends of this game no matter what. They should be unanimously voted into the Hall of Fame, considering that some of these writers may not even have a job anymore if it wasn't for them.
Yeah.
And that's just facts. How much money alone they made Major League Baseball. How many eyes they put back on Major League Baseball alone warrants those guys of being Hall of Famers. Simple as that. Alex?
Yeah, I definitely agree with the whole assessment. And I always say it. I will continue to say it because it's going to happen. It's not me speaking it into existence, but it's just going to happen with the way these beat writers are, and not just for the Yankees, but the MLB in general. Rob Manfred's going to be a Hall of Famer one day. I mean, he literally juiced baseballs. He dead-end baseballs, did a couple other things with stupid rules. And let's be real. Obviously, Pete was talking about how much money Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire made for baseball and the image as well. Obviously, put aside the steroids, just the home runs and the excitement. While you look at Rob Manfred, who eventually, once again, will be a Hall of Famer, is literally deadening the sport. People are saying it's growing. It's not growing. The sport is not growing. And, he's deadening the baseballs, which is, once again, you consider that cheating. If you're talking about the other guys, that's cheating. And you're literally the commissioner. And just something overall is, obviously we'll get to a point where the MLB and the MLBPA will agree. We all know that it's going to eventually come. It's not going to be, baseball is not going to happen again. It's going to happen. But the problem is that fans will start to lose interest more and more and more. I've talked to so many people, they've given up on baseball because of these disagreements. And I just lost the thought in my head. They keep striving for obviously the pace of play and all this other crap because of Manfred and a couple other people as well. They keep striving for the audience that does not want to be a part of baseball. Like for the millennials or for the Gen Z that sits on their phones at the games and stuff like that. They want to reach them, but somewhat they know that they're not going to be into the game fully because the attention span is not there and they have no interest. So it's just a dead duck argument, but overall, Rob Manfred is going to be a Hall of Famer. So I don't understand why these guys can't be.
Yeah, you hit a lot of nails on the head there, and just to add to one of the points I said, where's the investigation on Rob Manfred in Major League Baseball? Where's that investigation at?
That's never going to happen.
How in the world they can get away with a juice ball and a dead ball is beyond me. And the fact that, I tell you what, I was a part of those discussions on the whole CBA thing. I'm not joking. I'd say, okay, we can have that. I want an investigation into baseball. How do I know how that affected my numbers? I'm a free agent. How do I know? There's so many balls that I hit that didn't go anywhere, that I knew were home runs.
And here's the thing. Some players knew about that.
They did. They said it.
Like Ian Happ in his podcast and John Boy.
Yep.
He said it like when they were warming up, and he was like, some of these balls was different, and they knew it. Some were juice, some were not.
Yep.
So how do we know about the Field of Dreams game with the White Sox? That was
100%.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Big event.
You could have check swinged on that and hit home runs out of the park.
Exactly. So my thing with that is, if it is true, like Rob Manfred should be fired,
kicked out of baseball. You know what he should be? He should be dragged through the mud the way the legends are getting dragged through the mud because he's a nobody. Rob Manfred is a nobody. So for these guys to be slapped in the face, the Chicago Cubs got the nerve to tell Sammy Sosa before he comes back he has to apologize? For what? Saving your franchise? For making you millions and millions of dollars? For giving you guys the notoriety that no other team in baseball was getting for years? He has to apologize to you? Get the hell out of here. Get out of here. Luca, let's hear your thoughts on it.
I mean, to add, what were the Cubs really in the mid '90s through the early 2000s without Sammy Sosa?
They were nobody. They were nothing.
Exactly.
The only teams that fans really talked about was honestly the Braves and the Yankees. In the early 90s, 94, 95, when it wasn't a season, 95 strike season, 96. So when the Yankees came on board and things started getting going for them. But even when the Yankees won in 96, baseball wasn't popular. 97, it wasn't popular. They got popular in 98. The Yankees just happened to be a great team, but everything was overshadowed by McGwire and Sosa. Everything was. They had the baseball commercial, remember? Chicks dig the long ball. That was the big thing. It was all about
I want to say it. Can I say a comment real quick on the chat?
Please, go ahead.
Yankees news for Ruben, which is true, about Pete Alonso saying in one of his press after the game that he knew they were manipulating the balls to affect the free agents.
Yeah, of course. A lot of guys said that. I remember I had a list one time. I wrote the names down. I can't remember, but there was a lot of comments about it. About balls they hit that they know for a fact they got all of it and it didn't go out, and then balls they hit, they popped up and it was home runs. Hey, Joe, what do you think about the whole Hall of Fame situation? I think he's on mute. You might be on mute, Joe.
Yeah, there we go. I didn't even realize. No, it's just weird because, I didn't get to see all these other guys play, like Barry Bonds and everything. But from what I've seen, they're some of the best people, and they're not going to even get into the Hall of Fame. And it's like you have your kids, your grandkids, and, you're sitting there and they're asking you this, and they're going to have no idea who these guys are. And that's just something that shouldn't be a thing, especially people who saved the game. And then with Rob Manfred, it's like it's North Korea. He can do whatever he wants, but then the players have to, they get fucked by it. And it's like, I don't know. It's just weird. It's like something needs to change. I can't even pinpoint my opinion on it because it's everything from the top.
Yep, I agree. The Hall of Fame, the structure of it needs to be changed. There's no way that the writers should be the ones getting these votes in. Because, look, I don't give a poot how you think politically. If that affects the way you vote, you shouldn't be voting. For Kurt Schilling not to get in because you don't like the way he thinks politically is so beyond wrong. It's not even funny how wrong it is. You're talking about one of the best big game pitchers of all time. You're talking about a guy that carried the Phillies, Peter Kirk. I think his name's Peter Kirk. Is it Peter Kirk? Peter Kirk? I don't know if it's Peter. Larry Kirk? I forget his name. Maybe Larry Kirk. But he was a first baseman. He was on ESPN for a long time.
Was it John Kruk?
John Kruk. Not Kirk, my God. John Kruk. Peter Kirk. John Kruk. John Kruk talked about it all the time about, Kurt Schilling's the only reason these guys got to the playoffs. They're the only reason why we did anything really with the Phillies those years. He was the best of the best. And, what he did with Arizona, everybody remembers. What he did with the Red Sox, everybody remembers. The bloody sock game, of course, but just one of the best pitchers of that time. Like somebody said, Mike Mussina's in. How the hell is Kurt Schilling not in? I mean, you can make the argument that Kurt Schilling was a way better pitcher than Mussina.
He was.
So, I mean...
Just to go back with David Ortiz possibly getting in and Alex Rodriguez not. Weren't both of them tested positive for steroids?
Yeah, I think David Ortiz, there was it really got hushed under the rug quick because it was maybe a failed test of something else. It wasn't, was it steroids? Was it not?
I mean, that guy was nothing in the Twins. He apparently, from what I remember, he wasn't anybody in the Twins, and then all of a sudden he gets to the Red Sox and he was.
Bro, he was an outfielder for the Twins. On top of that, and I'm not even joking about that. He played the outfield a little bit. He was nowhere near his size that he got. He was always a bigger guy. But when he got to the Red Sox, you could see there was a world of difference. There was a world of difference. And by all means, I always say it. If you had the people that have really helped steroids-wise was the guys that had hand-eye coordination. Then it really affected you and really helped. Because Barry Bonds went to a guy that would hit 40 doubles a year, line drives all over the field, to now he's hitting moonshots everywhere. And Bonds never missed. You could watch Bonds when he was young and all the way up, and he never missed the ball. It just wasn't. He was just that damn good of a hitter. Simple as that. So you got guys like Ted Williams. If they ever did it, they would deny. There's an interview online with Ozzie Guillen, and I even asked him. Ozzie Guillen said, shit, yeah, I would have took it. Of course. Bob Gibson, one of the greatest pitchers of all time, said, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to have the situation, but if everybody was doing it, yeah, I probably would have jumped right in too. So these are, I guess the comical thing, right, is that there's players that are in the Hall of Fame that are like, I mean, we didn't have that situation, but I would have done it. But then you got these writers who's like, oh, no, you're not allowed in. Well, who the hell are you?
It's a celebrity contest. You know, David Ortiz, who he was for Boston, you know, not going to let that down. He was great for that city. And then you look at Alex Rodriguez, it wasn't really – he was more divided with the city. So I think that's where it comes in too. It's just it's who they want to put in.
It's like to shout out Gary Sheffield Jr. who talked about this, and you know he got a little weight into it because his father should be remembered. His father should be in the Hall of Fame. It's that simple. And one of the, I mean, people might laugh about it. I remember the first batting stance I used to copy. It was Gary Sheffield's. Everybody did the wiggle. Everybody tried it. You know, when you were outside playing wiffle ball or whatever, everybody did it. Until this day, people still do it. But when you talk about one of the best things I heard Curt Schilling say, Curt Schilling said flat out, he was like, I just want to be off the ballot so the players could vote me in because I'm going to get voted in by the players. They understand it. Gary Sheffield will get voted in by the players because they respect him. They know. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, also it's funny. Obviously, you're talking about Curt Schilling and Alex Rodriguez. Someone who a lot of beat writers have had a weird obsession with is Omar Vizquel. First of all, he was not that great of a player. He was a good player at best. Second of all, he's now under investigation for domestic abuse and sexual harassment towards a bat boy. So you know what?
Yep.
In a day and age where people should care a lot about that stuff, and they do. That's not being put under the carpet. But of course, Curt Schilling and Alex Rodriguez.
See if Curt Schilling did that, what the news would be.
Oh Lord.
You're 100% right about. I like Omar Vizquel. You know, I like him. I don't think he's one of those guys where you could say, okay, he had a very, very long career. He played to 45 years old. He started at 22. So you're looking at what, almost 23 seasons. You know, never had an exceptional year. Yes, an amazing fielder. So maybe the thing with Vizquel is, do you kind of have that Andrew Jones argument that they were pretty good hitters, even though he had longevity? That's the only reason why he got close to 3,000 career hits. Andrew Jones, I just think, here's my thing about the Hall of Fame. Ron Guidry should be in the Hall of Fame. I'll tell you why. Don Mattingly should be in the Hall of Fame. I can tell you why. If you are one of the best players in your generation, you should be a Hall of Famer. You shouldn't have to hit 3,000 hits. You shouldn't have to reach certain numbers to be a Hall of Famer. For an example, Mike Trout ended his career now. He should be a Hall of Famer. I don't think that should be an argument. You could sit there and go, well, he didn't play enough because he got injured. That's not his fault.
He made the Angels relevant before Ohtani.
No doubt about it. And I mean, he's arguably the best player in baseball year after year after year after year. He's the best guy now. So my thing is, if you've dominated for multiple years in a row, 7, 8, 9 years, and maybe you had an injury that ended your career, you just came up late, that wasn't your fault. So even that's another good example. Let's say, for an example, Aaron Judge doesn't go 8, 9 more strong years. If Aaron Judge came up at 26, he plays until 35, and he averages 32, 33, 34 homers. He starts to hit 280 every year, drives in 100-plus RBIs, and he's the best player during that time. He should get no consideration because he's maybe not going to have 500-plus homers. That's why I just think the Hall of Fame is it's like baseball, right? It's all completely fucked up right now. Nobody knows what the shit's going on. So I don't know. That's my thoughts on the Hall of Fame. I think the Hall of Fame needs to change a lot. We got another super chat here from Ruben. He said Ortiz could have been Red Sox Ortiz for the Twins, but they wouldn't commit to him. His stats were good even with the inconsistent playing time. Another very good topic too, real quickly, with Ruben that I want to share, considering he talked about Ortiz. I just want to bring this up, then we can wrap up here. I got to talk about this. David Ortiz should have been a Yankee. You guys know that, right? Everybody knows that story?
I thought I heard the story.
George Steinbrenner wanted him. George Steinbrenner wanted him. Brian Cashman did not. And it's one of the only times that Steinbrenner didn't use the executive power to say, no, sign him. But George Steinbrenner wanted David Ortiz from Minnesota. And the Yankees passed up on him. So that's an interesting. Giving Ortiz a little shout out to end a Yankee show. So good job, David. Real quick before we end and wrap this up, I just want to go to the handles here. We got at Simonetti Source, that is me. We got at Luca Jeter 2003. We got A Beltron 1993. At Joe Giamp, Giamp, Joe. At B Blue in the Bronx. Go follow everybody. Make sure you guys do that. Definitely follow everybody here, and also follow the YouTube channel for Big Blue in the Bronx. You don't want to miss that. There's a lot of stuff going on there. So, guys, with that being said, anybody have any closing comments?
No.
RB none, Alex none. Well, everybody, this has been the first episode of Nights at the Round Table. Please make sure you subscribe, like, put notifications on so you guys know everything we got going on, and I will see you guys next time.
Before it hits the front page,